Hey everybody, Nick here from fitIQ with a quick demo of the new journal processing mode that's just been rolled out for Pro members. Now normally I want everyone to have the chance to play with all the Pro features for themselves via the fitIQ demo site, but due to the way journals are processed, that's unfortunately not possible, so you got this video instead. It's not possible for a couple of reasons. One, Whoop do not return any journal data via the Whoop API. And two, if you do choose to share your own journal entries, they're only ever processed and stored locally in your browser on your device. None of your journal data is ever sent to fitIQ, which is really important for me to stress for reasons of privacy. You sync your journal entries if you choose to do so by requesting a data export from the Whoop app. Won't get into the details of that here, but you can have a look on the overview for instructions. You can see here that I have chosen to do so. Again, they're only stored locally in my browser. And these are the behaviours that I've exhibited, answered yes to effectively over the last year. We can change that. We can say, what about everything I've said yes to for all time? As you might expect, it's a bigger list. Vice versa, if we just filtered the last 2 weeks, I've answered yes to far fewer behaviours. So we'll go back to last year because that's a nice sort of interim data set. Now at this point you might be thinking this looks like it might be very similar to the Whoop Insight analysis provided within the Whoop application itself. And you'd be broadly right, but there are a couple of crucial differences. One is that Whoop's insights factor in other influences when give you an overall assessment of whether a behaviour is positive or negative. The second is that the only metric that Whoop assesses is your recovery score, which is this metric here. You can see in fitIQ's case, you're presented with an awful lot more metrics, and some of those metrics are sort of derived fields, derived information. So the proportion of time you spent in the red, the proportion of time you spent in the green. The other key difference is that Whoop only lets you see the impact of behaviours when you answer yes to them in your journal. Whereas, as we'll see shortly, fitIQ also lets you hypothetically exclude those behaviours as well, which can be quite insightful. So let's get into it. So let's take sleeping in the same bed as usual, sleeping in my own bed. I seem to do this most of the time over the last year. It has a generally positive impact on my metrics. That's interesting to see. What about the inverse? Haven't done this so much, only 12% of the time. You can see it seems to have a much more negative impact. Now at this point, you need to be cautious. The chances are not sleeping in my own bed isn't this bad for my health. It probably comes in conjunction with some other behaviours. As I said, fitIQ lets you make your own analysis and decisions about those things by combining certain behaviours, but you need to be cautious and make sure you combine sort of valid combinations. It's perfectly possible to combine two things you never actually did together and then you'll get useless data. On the assumption that actually most of the time what you want to see is the impact of one single behaviour, you can also focus on any given behaviour shown in the table. And when you do so, you can see the impact of days when you do answer yes to that behaviour and the impact of if you were to exclude those days side by side. And for me anyway, this gives you an extremely visceral view of the positive and the negative impact of any given behaviour. I must admit, before I built this, I knew that this particular behaviour was probably bad for me. I didn't realise quite how bad it was, and I didn't realise, quite how life could be if I never exhibited it. So hopefully you get your own insight from the tool as well. So as I said, that's a really quick tour. It's already available for Pro users. And if you're a free user, hopefully this video has given you a bit of incentive to consider going Pro. Thank you very much.